General Milley, you said today that you saw this as a strategic failure. As a 30-year veteran and someone who's been deployed 4 times myself, and I haven't served as long as the three of you, but it breaks our heart. And I think most veterans feel heartbroken knowing that the blood and the treasure spilt ended up in a strategic failure. I think we're enraged by it. Then to have the president come out and say that this was a success and he had no regrets, that does not break our heart. That makes us mad as hell that he would say it that way. So I want to say that up front. Secondly, the fact that President Biden on ABC said that no one that he can recall advised him to keep a force of about 2,500 troops in Afghanistan. It's not true. We heard yesterday, we've heard today, that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the CENTCOM commander advised differently. I have no other view to see this as a lie, a falsehood from our president. That makes us mad as hell too. Thirdly, I think it's important to point out that this committee, for well over a year, cautioned both presidents against a premature withdrawal from Afghanistan. In fact, Republican and Democratic members of both the House and Senate were so concerned at the risk of a calendar-based withdrawal that we passed a law to prevent it. In fact, the chairman of this committee voted for it when it restricted President Trump. Section 1215 of the 2021 NDA prohibited any president, regardless of political party, from drawing down below 2,500 troops until the Secretary of Defense, in consultation with the Secretary of State and the DNI, provided Congress a detailed plan explaining how the U.S. would continue to conduct counterterror operations in Afghanistan following U.S. withdrawal. How would the U.S. conduct an orderly transition of security functions to the Afghan military? And how would the U.S. protect Americans who remained in country? And how would the U.S. coordinate any such withdrawal with our NATO allies? In short, every single failure that we are now witnessing, Congress warned against in writing in a law over a year ago. But after taking office, President Biden, I'm referring to, we wrote to the Biden administration reminding them that it was not permitted to go below 2,500 until it provided assurances to Congress that our vital interests could be secured. Despite clear congressional intent, backed by statute, this did not happen. The day after taking office, the newly confirmed Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, Colin Powell, wrote to the members of this committee essentially stating that President Biden was smarter than Congress, was confident he had all the angles covered, and believed it was not in the national interest to provide Congress with the assurances required in Section 1215. And Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter this letter into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Okay, my first question here, General McKenzie, I think one of the reasons that the Afghan forces crumbled much quicker than we ever assessed was that we pulled most of our air cover, we took the mechanics away from the Afghan forces, and we pulled out a lot of our logistics capabilities. Do you see this as underlying reasons why the Afghan forces collapsed?
I think all of those reasons contributed to why they collapsed.
Should it even surprised us when we take away most of our air power that they were used to having, that they would just pull the rug out from underneath them, General?
Well, my position all along has been if you go to zero, if you go to a state where you're not going to be able to maintain their forces on the ground, that a collapse is inevitable. I have to further say I did not see it coming as fast as it did. I thought it would be a matter of into the fall or into the winter. I did not see it happen in 11 days in August.
Thank you. General Milley, I appreciate your candor about this being a strategic failure. How does this embolden al-Qaeda, ISIS, and what does it do to Russia, China, and Iran, seeing how we responded in this retreat?
I think the Taliban sitting in Kabul significantly emboldens the radical jihadi movement globally. The analogy I've used with many others is it likely will put a shot of adrenaline into their arm. Their grandfathers defeated the Soviet Union in the war in Afghanistan many, many years ago, and they are taking this on their own networks right now and declaring it a major victory. So I think it's a big morale boost. I think it remains to be seen. I think the Russians are quite scared, not scared, I guess concerned, of terrorists coming across the borders into their near abroad. China is very complicated. They've got a significant issue in their western hemisphere, or in their western part of their country. I think Iran now has to deal with a very complicated issue on their border that may or may not be friendly.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you, General Milley. I yield.